Speak out. We need you right now. We don't have a lot of time, and we will help you if you get sued.
Your initial thoughts on Tucker Carlson being ousted at Fox News?
That's a tough voice to lose, and I think you had something to do with it, Jason. You went on and spoke too much of the truth, and we saw you go on, and in the same, I think, 24, 48 hours, we saw Glenn Beck go on. He put on the MAGA hat. You talked about how you are firmly behind President Trump. You're seeing somebody who's standing up for America and just being constantly punched. And that's a lot of truth for a network that appears to be leaning toward being more an establishment conservative network. And I'm not trying to castigate Fox. I mean, if that's what they want to go, that's fine. They've got Paul Ryan. He's known as one of the establishment characters in the Republican Party, the Uniparty. And I think Tucker spoke a lot more than a little too much truth. I think he spoke a lot of truth, and I don't believe they want that in the next year and a half as President Trump begins to move forward and be a fighter for America and fight for re-election. I think they want a steady drumbeat of establishment Republican talking points, and they can't afford to have a voice like Tucker who reaches millions of people a night speaking the truth about what's happening in this country. It's no longer Republican versus Democrat. It is uniparty, which includes the Democrat Party and the establishment right, versus Americanism. It's globalism versus Americanism. It's communism versus Americanism. And we got to get right now about where we are. Do we want to save this country? We have divisions in this country right now on cultural issues, but let's talk about the core foundation of our nation, the Constitution. Are we willing to stand up and protect that? We can battle it out on the cultural stuff even at the same time or at a later date, but are we willing to stand up to protect the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights? Because that's what's at stake right now.
Guys, make sure we clip out everything she just said verbatim, and we put that all over social media. I'm so glad you made that point. You've helped me see more clearly what's involved here, because I've been arguing. I went down to Florida a little more than a year ago and spent some time with Tucker and participated on his Fox Nation show. And one of the things I kept talking to him about was like, how did a geeky bow tie wearing, comes from the Swanson family, how did he become the voice of the America First, America, Make America Great Again movement? Again, not that he's some hardcore Trump guy, but he's certainly the voice of MAGA. And you're right in me and others that he platformed. We're going to keep beating that drum for Donald Trump, and the system doesn't want that right now. But it blows my mind that Tucker became that guy given his background. No different than, and I say this without any sexism, it amazes me that someone with your television career, your beauty, has become the fighter in this political realm that you're in. How does this happen?
Well, and similar to Tucker, I mean, I also worked for the Fox network. I worked for their local station in Arizona, and I walked away from a 7-figure contract because I felt that I didn't want to loan and lend my voice and my reputation to what is being pushed out in the corporate media these days. And Tucker, maybe he felt the same way. I think he still wanted to stick with it. My guess is that they got rid of him. And it shows you what they're willing to do. And this is why we've watched CNN push the most insane stuff. They didn't care about ratings. They don't care about their bottom line. MSNBC doesn't either. These corporate entities are so about destroying Trump because Trump is the man who is going to push and save what it means to be American versus this globalist agenda. They will lose everything in this final fight between globalism and Americanism. They will risk losing their top guy, Tucker Carlson, to save their globalist agenda. And they don't care about the bottom line anymore. This is why they were willing to unleash the COVID pandemic and practically destroy the world. That was all to change it and affect the 2020 elections. To move us from voting in churches and schools, they had to shut those down into these huge corporate kind of voting centers where it's really easy to commit fraud. And this is how dangerous Trump is to this globalist agenda. And this is why I'm standing up. I didn't care about my salary. I recognized a couple of years ago, what good is that paycheck if we don't have a country? Why am I trying to preserve my paycheck at the risk of losing our country? That's where we are right now. And your voice is just as powerful as Tucker Carlson. You speak to an audience. He speaks to an audience. I speak to an audience. And every single person out there has an audience. And I encourage them to get right with it right now. We are a year and a half away from either preserving our Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights, which gives us all liberties and freedoms, or losing it. And so I hope that we can all start using that beautiful First Amendment that we still have. We're clinging to it. It's hanging by a thread, and speak out and say things that are bold and say things that are truthful, and get our friends and loved ones to understand that this 8-year attack, this constant barrage of lies against one man, Donald Trump, has been just that, lies and an agenda to bring him down, because he is the only thing standing up for us. He doesn't need this garbage, Jason. He's got properties around the world. I know him. We become friends. He could easily walk away and live the most beautiful life, but he realizes that would be temporary, because in short order, in a year and a half, we're either going to get a globalist Democrat or a globalist Republican if he's not in it. And it's going to be either be a fast march toward our demise or a little bit slower march toward our demise. But nonetheless, if we let the Uniparty pick their two candidates, it will be the demise of America. And Trump is the only thing standing in the gap.
Last question, and I'll let you go. I want to circle all the way back to Tucker Carlson, and it's just because of your experience in the TV news business. What do you think happens to Fox News on the other side of Tucker Carlson? For me, the brand is severely damaged. I'm not saying this with emotion. I'm saying this factually. I'll likely never watch the network again. The only reason I really watched was because of Tucker Carlson. That was it. If I caught something while waiting for Tucker to be on, or caught something because I left my TV on Tucker Carlson, that was it. I now have no intentions, not out of anger, just out of like, nothing there will seem authentic to me. I just don't have an interest in Fox News. What's your prediction for Fox News moving forward?
We have a lot of power when we use our purse and we decide we're not going to buy a product because we don't care for the way that they are pushing that product. And we saw that with Bud Light. And our giving our mind and our eyes to something is power for us. If we decide we're not going to give our mind and eyes to a network because we don't like the direction they're going, that's powerful. Again, I don't think they care about the bottom line. They care about the agenda they're pushing, and they're an establishment Republican group. I'm not trying to be critical of them. That's just who they are. They were lucky to have Bongino on there and, of course, Tucker Carlson. I don't think they care if the people who love MAGA, Make America Great Again, if the Republican America First folks leave them. I think they'll just continue to push an establishment Republican agenda. I encourage every other news person at Fox who cares about this country to walk away from their contract, to walk away from their show. I'm talking about all of them. If they care about their contract, walk away. We can get you set up with an outlet that will allow you to speak the truth. But right now, we got a year and a half to save our country. Don't let them push an agenda that's anti-American on your back. Don't let them use your voice, your reputation to push an anti-America establishment globalist agenda on your back. I implore these people who are still employed at these networks to walk away. With Tucker, I don't know what his deal was. I don't know if they had the ability. I mean, I've seen how these deals work because I worked in the business for 30 years. A lot of times they can get rid of you and they can still pay you, and they can force you to sit out and not use your voice, and they'll pay you, I would guess with someone like Tucker, 20 or 30 million a year. Basically, hit the beach, be quiet, don't speak out, and we'll pay you. I encourage Tucker, if that's his deal, to stand up against that. We need your voice, Tucker. We got to have your voice. If they're paying you 20 or 30 million a year, stand up, speak out. We can find you an outlet. We must have your voice the next year and a half. And if you get sued by your former employee, we will help come up with a defense fund, a legal defense fund to help you fight back. But we have a year and a half to save the United States of America. We have a year and a half to save our Constitution, our Bill of Rights for the people. For all people, Democrat, Independent, and Republican, and we can't afford to lose your voice, Tucker. So if you're hearing this, we encourage you to get back in, no matter what your, buyout is or what they're trying to tell you. Speak out. We need you right now. We don't have a lot of time, and we will help you if you get sued.
Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.